Guys, we've definitely been following this story, and what we do know currently is that Kamala Harris basically did want to do some type of collaboration with Joe Rogan, but she's basically refusing to go to his studio. Now, Joe Rogan has had many important and powerful people on his podcast, and consistently they have gone to the actual set of the Joe Rogan Experience. But for some reason, Kamala Harris is under the impression that this is not the thing to do. Keep this in mind. She was just in Texas, okay? She could have easily went to Austin to his studio, but what did she do? She's giving a list of demands saying, hey, listen, fly out to me. Okay, fly out to me and I'll only give you an hour. Bro, no, that can't be a thing because Joe Rogan shows are how long? Have you ever watched them? Okay. Now, what we do know is that Kamala Harris, in fact, has a man problem. Joe Rogan's audience is mostly what? Men. So what you should be doing, looking to do at least, is a smart thing here. And coming together to say, you know what, I want to get my message, even though my message has nothing really to do with men, but I want to get my message out to as many people as humanly possible. But for some reason, her team just took another L. Who knows how much of this actually Kamala Harris had to do with this? But we do know, at least her team were the ones who are basically giving a gigantic list of demands to Joe Rogan. But either way, listen, the name of the video is Joe Rogan brutally rejects Kamala Harris's list of demands to appear on his podcast. And this is a suggestion via a channel member, guys. Let's check it out.
The world's biggest podcast host, Joe Rogan, has exposed a list of Kamala Harris's demands in order to appear on his show. Following the hugely successful podcast interview between Joe Rogan and Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump, which was viewed 38 million times and counting, there have been calls for Kamala Harris to sit down with Joe Rogan in the same long-form interview style. Nothing has been locked in, but Joe Rogan released a statement on X outlining communication between him and the Harris camp with a list of their requests for the interview. He said, also, for the record, the Harris campaign has not passed on doing the podcast. They offered a date for Tuesday, but I would have had to travel to her and they only wanted to do an hour. I strongly feel the best way to do it is in the studio in Austin. My sincere wish is to just have a nice conversation and get to know her as a human being. I really hope we can make it happen. This statement attracted a huge response from online commentators, with Charlie Kirk saying, America deserves 3 hours with Kamala and Joe Rogan unscripted. Hope it happens and she stops trying to dictate the terms. You have a format, it works. She should stop trying to change it, just like America.
Really quickly about that statement. Let's go back to it. We do know that she has a problem with kind of going off of the script. We do understand that. I think just us as overall commentators and just viewers of information, let's say. Yeah, she has a problem. So a 3-hour unscripted conversation, I'm not sure she's going to be able to get through an hour, bro. Without someone coming in and giving her information pretty much based off of all the other interviews that she's actually done, guys, right? But let's continue.
You have a format, it works. She should stop trying to change it, just like America. And this commentator doubled down, saying, in studio is the only way. Let the whole world see the real Kamala Harris. What are they scared of? The request to change the normal Joe Rogan Experience podcast interview terms comes after Donald Trump slammed his opponent, saying she wouldn't be able to make it through a 3-hour-long conversation.
She wouldn't.
One of the things I like about doing a show like this, can you imagine Kamala doing this show?
I could imagine her doing this show.
She'd be laying on the floor.
She was supposed to do it, and she might still do it, and I hope she does.
She's not going to do it.
I will talk to her like a human being. I will try to have a conversation with her. If she did this kind of an interview with you, I hope she does, because it would be a mess. She'd be laying on the floor comatose. You'd be saying, call in the medics. I think we'd have a fine conversation. I think I'd be able to talk to her. I wouldn't try to interview her. I'd just try to have a conversation with her. And
What I do like about this whole dialogue here is that Joe Rogan is in fact not kind of going too deep into whatever Trump is saying. What I mean by this is he's remaining himself. He's not allowing any outside influence to actually influence his responses. I think that's excessively commendable, specifically with having someone like Trump in front of his face. It has nothing to do with Trump himself. If you ever watch his interviews, you'll realize instantly that he still remains himself regardless of whoever's in front of him. That's what's commendable.
And hopefully get to know her as a human being. That was my goal, having her on, trying to get her to express herself just as I don't think these formats are good. I don't think that two people, first of all, I hate the idea of the presidential debates because I hate the idea of a time limitation on complex ideas. Also, you have to break.
I think you have to have the debates still.
And whilst Kamala Harris's camp tries to negotiate terms with Rogan, vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance has seized on the publicity opportunity and will appear on the #1 podcast. Outspoken entrepreneur Andrew Yang reacted to the news, saying, "Now that J.D. Vance is going on Joe Rogan, it's all the more important that Kamala Harris also does so." Kamala Harris's demands come after she has suffered through weeks of gaffe-ridden appearances, reveals Sky News host Kel Richards.
This is why she's such an appalling candidate. She's the worst candidate since Hillary Clinton, and we know what happened to her. So she's just she cannot very quickly off the top of her head think of a clever way or an appropriate way or a tactically good way to react. So she did this really stupid thing of go to the rally down the street. You don't belong in my rally if you want to say Jesus. I mean, that's, as you say, America is a far more religious country than Australia.
It is.
The vast majority of them are Baptists. They don't want to hear a candidate saying that. She's done herself a lot of damage. And then the idea that you can repair it by going to church tells you that Kamala may be Christian on a Tuesday but not on a Wednesday. Or maybe she's Christian at 3 o'clock but not at 4 o'clock. And that's exactly the problem. She's this changeable, could be anything, chameleon, don't know what she believes, don't know who she is candidate. And she's underlined that. Yes, I'm really like that. I'm really this very uncertain person and you'll never know who I really am or what I really believe. This is her doing self-damage. She's had a really bad week. And at the end of the week, she's just making it worse.
Sky News host Rowan Dean agrees, saying the Kamala Harris campaign has been a disaster.
But Rita, it is looking like Donald Trump will win. That is certainly where things are heading at the moment. But the key thing is that the Kamala Harris campaign really has been a disaster. However you look at it, she is just a woeful candidate. Put all politics aside, just as a performing candidate, she is hopeless, I would say.
Yeah, guys, I can definitely point out a couple of things that are interesting. To me, at least. I definitely do not think that she's going to have the capability to even speak coherently for 2 hours, 3 hours, his normal length. Yeah, I don't know about that, guys. Right? And that's because of the previous interviews that we've actually encountered. It kind of feels like she's a puppet. And the reason why she feels more so like a puppet than anyone else is because she doesn't have the ability to speak exactly who she is because she doesn't know who she is today. Right? Pretty much based off of whoever she's speaking to, she becomes a different entity. And that's what I think is the largest gripe with her overall campaign. Now, Trump said to Joe Rogan something interesting. How about this? Joe Rogan said something to Trump that was incredibly interesting regarding the debates. I personally think debates should not be the way they are. They're pointless. Absolutely. So I definitely agree with Joe Rogan in that instance. I also think that when it comes to debates, they should basically pick a random person around the country, okay, and have them sit at their literal dinner table. Okay, if you don't have a dinner table, well, guess what? The country is going to furnish one for you. All right, let's build it out like a set, whatever it is, but in like a living room or something that is a lot less ridiculous and showmanship type of thing. Get rid of that nonsense. I understand you want the best footage you possibly can get, but I think for like a debate, that you need to bring it back to reality. Okay, both of these individuals have not been at someone's personal kitchen table in multiple decades. Let's be real. All right, and if we can do that, we can probably humanize the candidates and actually bring them out of whatever state that they're both in. let's say. Well, technically, I think there are 5 candidates. But you get what I'm saying here. There are only 2 that generally are the ones who are actually going to even be looked at, unfortunately. Right? But all right, listen, guys, let me know in the comments what you guys think. I do think that Kamala Harris would be interesting on there, just to actually hear her speak, moderately, coherently, without someone in her ear telling her the buzzwords, basically, the puppeteer, if that makes any sense. But all right, listen, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day thoroughly.
Guys, before we go, are you guys subscribed to the other channels? Logical Movie Reviews with Mr. L. Boyd, along with Mr. L. Boyd Music. Both are found in the description. Check it out.